Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. Paul and Jill Fulton here. We're so glad to have you with us today as we're going to make some fresh fruit extract. We called a little bit of an audible because Jill was eating cherries the other day.
Well, I went to the store and they were beautiful and they were yummy. And I just thought we had to do cherry vanilla extract.
Right. So in the advertising and in the event, we said we were just doing blueberry, and then we've got some old extracts that we've got to check up on. But we called an audible since we're doing blueberry. You're kind of getting a twofer today. We're going to do both blueberry and cherry because cherries are in season. It's summertime. Let's do that. So we hope that's okay. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Any new people from Eventbrite, good to have you with us. All of our members of Club Be Pura that get to come to every one of these for free as part of the Club Be Pura perk. Thanks for joining us. We love seeing all of like the regular faces and our friends, many of whom we've met now. The group just is getting more and more fun as time goes on. So
Definitely.
this is awesome. So as all of you know, we've been on a mission to make every single extract in our book, The Art of Extract Making. I don't even know what number we're on. Do you have any idea?
I don't keep track.
We don't keep track. Are we past halfway?
I think we might be.
We might be past halfway now. So there's 40 total recipes in the book, 37 are extract, and then 3 of them are what to do with your beans when they're spent. And I think we're a little bit past halfway now. So we're kind of on this mission to just make every single extract in our book. Summertime's all about fruits, fresh fruits. So that's what we're going to do today.
Yep.
Did I miss anything?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So we've got the chats coming in. It's good to see everyone. Hello. Thanks for joining us. Connie Robinson's here now too. Jeanette, I saw Roxanne. We saw you now. There she is. It's so fun to see your smiley faces up on top of our screen.
I know. That's my favorite part.
That's why we love the Zoom, because we feel like we're kind of actually hanging out with you. So that's tons of fun. But let's go ahead. I think I clicked off my list. Let's jump right in to what this was originally going to be, and that is just blueberry. Should we jump right into our blueberry vanilla extract? For those of you that have got your ingredients and you're following along, jump on in because here we go.
Okay, so this is really quite simple. We have 3 ingredients. We have fresh blueberries, 8 ounces fresh blueberries, and then we have an ounce of our Tahitian vanilla beans. These are actually our Manihi.
Our Manihi beans from Tahiti.
Tahiti, and there's an ounce. So this is a full vanilla extract. It goes 12 months.
Right. So a lot of times, like the telltale sign is how many beans we use. Sometimes we'll add just 1 or 2 beans to an extract because we want like the blending effect in the background. Other times we want to really bring the vanilla forward. And quite frequently with fresh fruit extract, we really want to bring the vanilla forward. And this is one of those cases. Same with the cherries when we get to that in a minute.
Yes, with that being said, if you want to try it before the 12 months, it will be delicious on the blueberry side and the vanilla side, right?
Correct.
But you're just going to get more vanilla, and you guys know that the longer it sits in there, the more delicious it gets.
Exactly.
Right?
Extracts are ready when the maker says they're ready. So we've kind of found our different sweet spots for the vanilla. Usually it takes about a year and different alcohols to come forward, sometimes even longer. But if you like how it tastes, use it. It's ready.
Yep. Okay, so we're just going to start with the beans here. And we're going to slice them and then cut them. And I'm going to use my little handy dandy seam ripper here that a very good friend gave to me. And I know a lot of you use seam rippers to cut down the middle. And I mean, this thing is just so pretty. It actually says our name on it, Paul and Jill. And really, it is so simple. You really do use it like a zipper. You just kind of go into it like that, and then you keep pulling up, and it just slides. Oops. Now that I showed you, it's not going to do it.
There it goes. Super fun little trick. In fact,
how big these beans are. I mean, they are huge. And so it's just really easy to slice down the middle when you want to open them up and have that caviar there. You can also just use a knife if you want, but I think the seam ripper is more fun. So I'm going to do it one more time. Hopefully it will work this time.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, so the reason that we recommended a Tahitian bean with this one is they're just a little more fruity. And so typically when we're doing anything with any kind of fruit, whether it's fresh or freeze dried, we'll usually recommend a bean that has more of a fruity taste. And so not only these Manihi beans, they're big, they're oily, they're fun, they're full of caviar, but they all have like undertones of fruit. And some of the notes that we get out of a lot of the fruitier beans, other than the Tongan, which we'll talk about in a minute, are like plums and nectarines. And so, you know, I've never smelled one where we said that's a blueberry, but we're trying to find, you know, beans that have sort of like the plum and the nectarine and more of a fruity undertone to really complement the blueberries, right?
Yes.
That's why we chose Tahitian.
Yeah. So, it's going to be wonderful, that fruity, you know, undertone with the blueberries. So it's the Manihi is the perfect bean to go along with that. So all of them have been sliced open. You know, you don't have to slice them open if you want to save that caviar for using for later recipes. Or I know some people don't like to slice them open, and they like to slice them up the very end so they don't lose any of the caviar when you strain and things like that. So that's up to you. But usually I'll just do it at the beginning, and now I'm just going to cut them in 3 because I have so many ingredients going into this jar. I just want to make sure that they fit really, really nicely at the bottom. They don't take up too much room because I need the alcohol to cover all the ingredients. So I want to make them small, small, small. And I cut off the ends before I use my little handy dandy seam ripper here. I put those in there. There's oil in there. Don't leave those out. Okay, so I've got my 1 ounce of beans in here. And now I have already weighed my blueberries. There's 8 ounces here. So I'm just going to add them into my 1 pint mason jar here. So it's 16 ounces. It's going to give me plenty of room to cover with the alcohol at the end. And it's really quite easy to fill because it's got that wide mouth. I'm going to push this down a little bit. Paul makes fun of me all the time because I use the bottom of my cocktail muddle. It's because it's smooth. I don't really want to smush them. I just want to get them down, and there's more surface area on this side. So if you've ever wondered why I use this side for pushing things down, that's why.
There you go.
So I'm going to push this down because I still need to add in my cinnamon.
And we were learning too. I mean, blueberries come in all different shapes and sizes. We have some that are smaller, some that are bigger. And so when you're preparing, we always recommend going with a larger glass jar at the beginning, like you're doing here, because you just don't know what to expect with, and sometimes with the freeze dry as well, they come in really big cuts. And so you just don't always know what to expect. So we always go large now when we're making any kind of fruit extract. And then when we're ready and we're done, we pour it into like the elegant little serving.
Cuter bottle that,
Yeah.
you know, fits the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are the Ceylon cinnamon, and I just, if you look at these quills, they're super thin. Many of you have used these. Oh my goodness, you couldn't smell them at all until you break them open, and now it seems like the whole room is filled with cinnamon.
Yeah.
Right?
The aroma releases. So it's important to crack them. It makes a little bit of a mess. You get all these little wood things, and then they get wet and soggy. It's kind of like soggy paper, but it doesn't necessarily tear apart when it's wet. And it's easy to get out with a strainer when we get to that
It's
point.
actually not too bad.
No.
So the big thing about this is what kind of alcohol?
Okay, so we've reviewed this a lot. We've got a few new people here today. And so just because it's so important, anytime we're working with fresh fruit extract, you've got to use high proof alcohol. Now, Everclear is one that we can get here that's nice. It's 195 proof,
Yeah.
right? Which is 97.5% alcohol. Starlet gave us this, one of our favorite extract makers. It's made in Colorado. It's called 420 Extractor. And it's like an Everclear. It's made with grain neutral spirit. So there's like no taste at all. But just like Everclear, it's 190 proof.
Yes.
And so it's 95% alcohol. Did I say this was 195 proof?
No,
I think I did. It's
Oh,
190
yeah, they're
proof. So
both
95% alcohol. The reason that's important, the sweet spot for vanilla extract making is somewhere between 35 and 50% alcohol, which is 70 to 100 proof. Anything above 70 to 100 or anything above 100 proof or 50% alcohol, it'll burn the beans. And so for any extract where we know we're going to be using vanilla beans, like we've done here, if we kill them with the proof, it'll actually burn them and they won't extract. So when you're using fresh fruit, you're adding moisture content. You can get online, you can Google what is the moisture content of any fresh fruit that you might be using for extract. So for blueberries, and always with fresh fruit, the answer is somewhere between like 85 and 95% moisture. It can be a little lower, it can be a little higher. So that means you're effectively adding water to the extract when you use fresh fruit. And so by adding water, you're cutting the alcohol content in half. So if you're starting with a 95% alcohol, and you're adding 8 ounces of alcohol to 8 ounces of fresh fruit, you're essentially adding like 7 ounces of water from that fresh fruit. And that's going to bring the alcohol content to just underneath 50, which is our goal. That's great. That means the vanilla beans won't be damaged and it'll be wonderful. And then when we do our change out in a month, we're not going to add another 8 ounces of fruit, because if we cut that in half, we'd be down to like 25%. So instead, we're only going to add 4 ounces of fresh fruit the second time, which will bring it down to just above 35%. It's like 38%. We've done the math and everything else. And that makes sure that you're in the right range to get a great vanilla extract, plus to get the extract flavor out of all the fresh fruit.
Yeah.
And it's worth, just talking about briefly, because some people will be watching this for the very first time. People say, why use fresh versus dried? We always like dried, freeze-dried fruits are going to give you a very concentrated extract. It's wonderful. We use fresh for a couple of reasons. One, the speed of extraction, like they extract pretty quickly. You're adding all that juice. And 2, the flavor is really good, right? 3, it's like 75% less expensive. And really, that's the number one reason. From a price perspective, you can get fresh a whole lot less expensive than you're going to get freeze-dried. If you find that with your fresh, you want a little bit more taste when you're done, you can always sprinkle in some freeze dry, let it go for a month if you want, and then strain it out when it's over to get a little bit more. But what we found in our experiments, if we do it the way we just described, starting with the high proof alcohol and a change out of 50% of the volume of fruit, you get a wonderful extract. And then with the vanilla and with the cinnamon in it, you get the vanilla and the cinnamon that start coming out, and the blueberry. It's spectacular, but that's the reason that we're using Everclear high proof alcohol, because you've got to take into consideration the moisture that you're putting in from the fresh fruit that you're using. So there's our geeky, sciencey part that I enjoy kind of getting into, like our nerdy vanilla part, right? That we always say. But that's the reason that we're doing it. And it's really important. If you make a fresh fruit extract, and if you just put in regular vodka or regular bourbon or regular rum, it's not going to work. You're going to say
you'll have
flavored alcohol.
Infused alcohol.
It'll be like a
You'll have
liqueur.
flavored, yeah.
You can drink
without
it
sugar.
Without sugar.
Yeah.
That's true, but it would be more like a cocktail.
Yeah.
Yeah, your vanilla is not going to extract. The cinnamon is not going to extract that well.
Scent, but not the same as it would with an extract.
Exactly, more like an infusion.
Mhm.
Like you'll get a little bit of it, but it's not going to be an extract with that high concentration of flavor like you do when you use a high proof. So it's a really important point. So I've said it all now. I won't say it again with the cherries. We got it all out, but
Okay.
anytime we do fresh fruit, it's worth talking about, especially for the people that are here for the first time just learning.
Yeah.
It's a real important point.
It is.
Don't use vodka when you're using fresh fruit or rum or bourbon. You're not going to have a high enough alcohol content to make sure that it turns out great. So hopefully there's a couple of you here where you're like, that was really helpful, to which I would say, thank you.
Also, there are overproof rums out there that are higher proof.
Yes.
If you want to do fresh fruit with a rum, that is an option. So maybe your liquor store in your area might carry something like that. I know we have a couple different kinds here locally.
We do, yeah, high proof rum. So there's like a 160 proof rum. In fact, one of our recipes calls for that in our book. But with 160 proof, that's 80% alcohol. So there's no change out. That means you can only go 1 round of fresh fruit, because you're effectively going down to 40% after your very first 8 ounces to 8 ounces fruit to Everclear, right? Am I like way beyond my time limit? She's giving me the nod. If she was standing next to me right now, she'd be reaching over and tapping on my foot with her foot. That's the little message that I get. Just like, you're going again. You're too far away now, so I can just go and go and go and go and go. Okay, go ahead. I'm done. Yeah.
Okay, so the last thing we have to add is the Everclear, and it really is just 8 ounces. So there are quite a few, we've got a full jar here, so hopefully, whoops, hopefully we will cover it.
You're gonna have to mash it down a little bit. Oh,
No,
oh,
perfect,
look
actually,
at that. Perfect.
to the top.
You ever wonder what the garbage men think when they're taking away your trash and we have like 5 of these, like when we're doing an extract making week? I feel like I need to stand out and tell the garbage man, hey, we're okay. I promise.
Yes.
We're gonna have to give the garbage men some extract for Christmas. They'll be like, yeah, that's a good cover up, whatever.
We actually had to explain it to one of our nephews when we first started making it. He's like, Mom, I think
I know.
Aunt Jill and Uncle Paul might have a problem.
Like, no, it's the hobby.
No, we just love vanilla. Okay, so I'm just gonna add my masking tape here that says what it is, blueberry vanilla spice. It's got the page number on the tape, so I don't have to go looking when I'm just kind of in my cupboard trying to check out what's going on. Let's get a close-up of this. I just want you to see how pretty it is.
It's beautiful. It's almost sad that it has to go into a cool, dark place.
I know.
Because this would be a fun one just to set out on the counter and let people ask when they come over.
I always feel bad when we have to hide them.
Well, maybe we do. Like if we have people coming over this weekend, we do. We could just, put it out.
Yeah.
Make it like a conversation piece.
Yeah.
Because it's very pretty.
Okay, and then don't forget to put the date on the bottom that you started it with. So here we go. We're just ready to go. How easy is that?
Super easy.
Yeah.
How fun is that? So there we go. Blueberry spice extract done. We'll do another check-in in a month where we swap it all out, right?
Yeah.
And then we go and park it in our cabinet for like a year. Well, it'll be
Yes.
11 months after next month, right?
Yes.
Yep. So, and it's just that easy. It's beautiful. Super fun.
Yep.
All right. That's a pretty one. I do
know.
feel like
Isn't it beautiful?
it is like with the cinnamon on top.
No, I can't wait to try it.
I know.
Actually, I have tried it. It's delicious.
This is one of our very favorites. We're I think now through like our second or third, I think, but this is one of our very favorites. It's a wonderful extract.
I have a friend who makes amazing chocolates, and we gave her some of that, and wow.
She makes them every Christmas.
Yeah.
And she actually had a blueberry chocolate that she used the blueberry extract for the blueberries inside the chocolate last Christmas. Oh my gosh. The difference was remarkable.
It was delicious.
Yes, absolutely delicious.
They
So,
sound
there we go.
amazing. Sorry
was
to
that,
butt
Dib?
in, but just a couple of questions from Melanie.
Yes.
I think we might have briefly talked about this before, but she can only get 151 proof Everclear. Would that be okay? And also, what would the quantities be if she used freeze-dried blueberries instead?
Great question. So 2 parts. So one, if you want to use fresh and you have 151 proof, the quick math, so you don't have to like get out a calculator, is when you add the 1 part fresh fruit to 1 part alcohol, just cut the proof in half. So if you're 151, you're going to be what, 75 and a little bit more, which puts you right at like 37 and a half. And that's percent alcohol. And that's exactly where you want to be, between 35 and 50. So you can do a 1-to-1 fresh fruit to Everclear, and your beans will be just fine. The fresh fruit taste will come out of that fresh part, and you're going to have a great extract. It's
But
not,
no change out.
but you can't do a change out.
You can't add more fruit the next time. That you just one shot and you're done.
So if you want to add more and you want to get more of that fruit taste to come through, whether it's with a peach or a pineapple or anything that we're doing here, really the only other option at that point is to go get some freeze dry and add a round of freeze dry. You're going to have to buy it. You're going to have to use it. In our book, in fact, I think we're going to talk about it briefly. The pineapple extract talks about the amount of freeze dry to the amount, I think it's the 1 ounce freeze dry, just like vanilla beans.
Mhm.
It's 1 ounce freeze dry to 8 ounces of alcohol. And that 1 ounce, depending on the fruit and the cut, it can be a lot. And so you kind of have to muddle it a little
We'll
bit.
get there because we're
We'll get
gonna
there.
do a change out with our pineapple, which did have the dehydrated fruit.
The freeze dry.
The cool thing, yeah, freeze dried. The cool thing about the freeze dried fruit is you can use vodka, bourbon, rum, all of those spirits that you normally use for vanilla. You can use all of those. So you have a lot more options when you're using the freeze dried fruit. It's just harder to get to. It costs more but makes fabulous extract.
Well, and that's why in our book, we have some that do use the freeze dry because we wanted to show that method. And then we have some that use the fresh fruit for that method. And really the biggest difference is price. But yeah, you can use as much freeze dry as you, I mean, you can go round after round after round after round and make it even more because you're not introducing any moisture at all when you add freeze dry. So if you know that you're going to have to get freeze dried anyway, then it might be a better idea to just buy the rum of choice or the vodka of choice or the bourbon of choice and go ahead and make a freeze dried extract instead of a fresh fruit extract. You're just going to have to spend a little more money on it, but it's going to be delicious. That's a wonderful question. Thank you for asking.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, Melanie, go ahead.
Yeah, just living in Utah, can you get the higher proof Everclear or yeah?
You can.
Okay.
You wouldn't think so because we can't get a lot of things here, but we're lucky. We get the Everclear. It's always available. And also there's I can't remember what, I think it's called Plantation Rum. And it is 165, I believe.
It's either 160 or 165. So that's 80% alcohol.
Two options for us with the overproof here in Utah.
And the nice thing about Everclear is it's really cheap, right? Like how much was this? Like $19 or something for, it's been a while since we got this one, but I want to say it's really, really inexpensive. So I'm going to get nerdy again, because if you want to do a lot of like math, some people will buy Everclear just for their vanilla extracts and just dilute it before they use it because it's tasteless, kind of like a vodka. You're not paying for like a big brand, but you just have to add, 1 part Everclear. So if you're doing the 1 ounces of beans to 8 ounces of alcohol, you got to dilute this by about 50%. So it would be 1 ounces of beans to 4 ounces of Everclear to 4 ounces of distilled or pure filtered water. And then you'd be down in the alcohol content range. So it would make a wonderful vanilla extract. So it's a great way to go even less expensive on your extract making. So if you're willing to dilute it and you want to do some math, you can totally use that instead of just a vodka.
It's an option.
Or rum or bourbon. It's something else to think about. So Everclear is pretty handy for all those reasons. If you're in the extract making world, Everclear it's pretty handy and it's affordable. And that's the other thing, by the way, just to go full circle now back to the blueberry. We're using an affordable spirit. We're using fresh blueberries. We're going to be using fresh cherries. It's a really affordable extract, which is a really important thing. I know to a lot of people, especially summertime, preserving these flavors and having them in your cabinet for the whole year so you can use them at Christmas time or others. It's just a great cost-effective way to get that flavor year round.
Yes.
I'm done.
Because the vanilla beans aren't cheap.
They're not cheap.
That's the most expensive part on these fresh fruits.
Yep. So Melanie, thank you for asking. Nice to meet you, Melanie. Okay, we're going to keep moving on unless we hear from Did. Should we dive into cherries?
It's hard for me not to want to eat these, but since I already measured them, I won't. I have been eating them. I pitted them. I got the pits out before because it took a little bit and they were flying all over the place.
So it's a true story. I came in and there was like this red dripping over here and I'm like, is that blood? Like what's been good? She's like, I pitted cherries from here. So somehow the pit went from here to here. Like, so you got to wear a helmet when Jill's pitting cherries and you're in the kitchen. I'm just saying.
This old cherry pitter, I think it's my mom's. I know they have lots of different kinds, but it's really quite easy. You just stick the cherry in there and it just pops out. But for some reason, sometimes, there's some force and
it's fun.
You never know what's going to happen here.
We were going to do a live demo, but maybe we shouldn't. I don't want anyone to get hurt. Are you going to do it? You're going to do, okay. We're going to do a live demo.
Here's the thing though. They're very messy. I had cherry juice. I mean, I have it in my fingernails.
Hey, don't point it up at the camera. You got to point it that way because if it hits the camera.
But they're stained with cherry juice. So
hey, everyone put on your 3D glasses. Okay. Hey, that was okay.
See, it's just right there.
That was nice. Oh, there we went. All right.
There you go. See, just like that. And you know what? I get to eat this one.
Okay. Cherry pitting 101. We're glad we could show you that. Everybody's like, we know, but hey, any part of extract making, we're always like, we got to put it on the camera just to do it once. Because I have never pitted a cherry before. I grew up in Arizona. We didn't have cherries. So cherries were like the fancy thing.
Yes, that was something that we didn't have them in California either.
Well, then where did you become an expert cherry pitter?
I don't know where we got them, but I do remember canning them.
There you go.
I don't
Well,
know
we
where
didn't
got
do
'em.
that. I love it. I thought it was interesting. Okay.
Okay,
Sorry,
so-
I digress. I'm a total distraction today. I'm working on it. Focus.
Okay, so this really is just, we're doing the same thing that we did with the blueberries, except for we're doing it with cherries. That's why I wanted to do it along with the blueberries, because it's the same amount of fruit and the same amount of beans and the same amount of time that you have to wait. So we've got 8 ounces of fresh cherries. We have 1 ounce of Tongan vanilla beans. These are absolutely delicious. These are a very different bean. They have this cherry undertone and they're planifolia. They aren't, you would think from a Tahitensis naturally has this light fruity undertone. But these Tongan are planifolia, and usually you've got this bold, more earthy flavor. And you do have a bold earthy, but there's this cherry in here that is, it's delightful.
I can actually smell the cherry coming off the bean, but the Tongan, they're just like this experience all to themselves because like Jill said, planifolia is the bean of like, traditional Mexico and Madagascar and Uganda and Tanzania and Ghana, all these other places. The Sumatra and Indonesia or the Papa. And so they all have like the cacao and the mocha and like these predictable things. And then all of a sudden you get the planifolia grown in Tonga and it's like cherries.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So it's a
Very
perfect
unique.
example of where origin has even a bigger impact than species alone when you look at the Tongan bean. It's really unique. So kind of a fun one.
Yeah.
So it's perfect for cherries.
Yeah.
This one is like a no-brainer. Like, what's the best bean for this? We're like Tongan
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay, so like always, I just want to make sure that I've got 1 ounce here, and I think I measured them before, but I just want to make sure. Yeah. And same thing, I'm going to just cut the ends here.
Now, while you're doing that and going through the seaming and everything else, a lot of people will cut the tips off their beans like this, and they start a little tip jar. And it's kind of like a mini mother jar. And so they just take their little tips and they put them in a jar because you're just taking a little bit of the bean off. When you're making vanilla extract, I'm going to get geeky again. Is it okay? When you're making vanilla extract, the true recipe for extract per FDA standards is 0.83 ounces of vanilla beans to every 8 ounces of 35% alcohol. So we always just round up. We say 1 ounce because it's easy to remember, and 0.83 is so hard to measure. But we always just say 1 ounce of beans for every 8 ounces of alcohol. Well, the people that understand that, they know that you can cut these little tips off here. And those tips are not, more than 5% of the weight of the bean. And so maybe you're going to go down to 0.95 ounces instead of 1 ounce, which is still above what the minimum level is to make an extract per FDA standards. So for that reason, you take these little tips, and these were Tongans. I think we ended up putting the tips in the last one from the Manihis, but you can start like a little tiny tip jar and just cover it in alcohol and let it grow and grow and grow and grow. And it's a whole new taste. It's like a mini mother jar, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there we go.
A mini mother jar.
A mini mother jar.
This is so fun. I feel like it's a zipper.
The little seam ripper.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm just going to cut these again in small pieces so they fit really nicely in the bottom of the jar. These cherries are a little bit bigger than the blueberries, and so I kind of really need all of these to be a little bit smaller so they just fit nice and snug. And I'm using another mason jar here just because of the volume of the fruit.
And we're going to have, just looking at it, we're probably going to have to smash some of those cherries down pretty good to make it all fit.
Oh man, these look so. I'm gonna make some bourbon soaked cherries when we're done here because the cherries right now are everywhere and they are so delicious. I love summer.
We do. Summertime. So while she's doing that, and the reason, that we did the blueberry and then the cherry, the thing that we hope with our book and with these lives that we do, these workshops, our whole concept is we just want to teach like the correct like baseline for extract making, and just as your starting point. So as you guys are watching this, if you have your favorite fruit, whatever it is, a mango, whatever it is, that now you have kind of a baseline, a science to be able to start like creating things all your own. We just want to give you a starting point. And that's why, we have our group, the Making Vanilla Extracts by Vanilla Pure, is like 117,000 people in it now. We love seeing posts of like creative new things that people are putting together, because people could say, I like blueberries and cherries. Well, then mix them. Go half blueberry, half cherry. Or could you do a little mango in there? For sure.
I
Just-
have put chocolate in with the cherries.
Oh, you could do a cacao for sure, like the cocoa nibs.
Yeah.
So there's a perfect example. And so we hope that you're taking these things and you're taking a little bit of that idea and you're making entirely new creations that the world hasn't even seen yet. So in that way, the book's kind of a non-traditional cookbook, because it's not like, here's how you make your 37 extracts and there's no other. We're saying, no, this is just the starting point. Take our ideas and just go, and then share, because we want to see what's being created and talk about it and see how new flavors are coming out through extracts.
Yeah, it's kind of like extracting 101, right?
Yes.
Just the very beginning of getting your creative juices flowing to see what you can come up with and what your favorite flavors are. We grow up, depending on where you grow up and your culture, you're going to have certain flavors that are favorites to you, and you could present something to another person that doesn't really know very much about it. And so that's what's so cool about our group, is
Yes.
that there's so many of us from all kinds of different places and cultures, and we can share with each other.
But like for me, it was like the orange stuff, because I grew up in Arizona and had an orange tree, had a grapefruit tree. So we got into citrus because we love that. You like the lemons growing up in Southern California. You've got your lemon apron. And so it was all about the lemons. So yeah, it's a great way to just explore all these flavors that you love and then expand on it. So
Yeah.
there we go.
Okay, so again, I'm going to use
Upside
the
down.
other side. Don't.
The upside down muddle.
It's just, there's more surface to push down on it, a little bit more than the other side. So I really am just smushing that down, because I want to make sure that the Everclear is, oh, I can just hear all those juices.
Oh, it's wonderful. That's a lot. That is a whole lot of cherries.
I know.
Now we're about out of Everclear. I don't know, you've got
Okay,
enough
sure.
there, so let's try that.
Okay.
Just whilst you're doing that, Paul and Jill, Laurie recommends like squishing and muddling the fruit a little bit, so as to prevent burning of the beans. Do you ever find that if the fruit isn't muddled and squished, that the beans get a little bit burnt?
That's a
Before
great
it starts
question. It's funny. We actually explored that when we made our chocolate orange cacao, because we had vanilla beans, we had the cacao, and we had the orange slices. We made this one, I think it was back in like February, and we didn't muddle. We just had the orange slices in that big jar, and we let it sit just for that reason, just to watch. And no, the moisture finds its way out. And in our experience, we've never, ever had an instance where we've burned the beans. And the way that for the new people, the way that the beans have burned is they just don't extract. Starlet, one of the amazing extract makers in our group, if you go to vanillapure.com and you look up Everclear, she did an experiment where she put beans in Everclear and beans in regular alcohol and photographed them over a period of time. And so you could see that the beans that were in Everclear never extracted. The water stayed really light, clear. The solution never turned to like an extract, and there was never a vanilla taste. So it's very easy to see. In fact, on our Reddit group just last week, someone put all their vanilla beans in Everclear, and they were like 2 weeks into it, and they're like, it hasn't even changed colors yet. What's going on? So that's how you know if the beans are being burned. You get none of like that amber oil that comes off of it, which you should start seeing within the first 24 hours. In every single case, with every fruit extract that we've made, sometimes we muddle, sometimes we don't. We've never had that happen. And so at like a cellular level, I'm not sure what's happening, but we've never burned the beans.
And it's not going to hurt anything if you want to muddle it all together, just
No.
to make sure. That might be a really good practice if you've ever run into that,
Yeah.
because you certainly don't want to be wasting any
And
of those beans.
Lori, did you run into that? I'm curious if
Yeah.
Lori had an experience where you didn't muddle, and maybe it was cherries, or maybe it was something else, and it took a little while for the moisture to get out, and whether or not you saw that. I'd be interested in knowing. So, because we certainly aren't the test all, end all, be all. So if you had an experience somewhere else, we'd love to hear about it.
Definitely.
So It wasn't because your orange was sliced, Lori says. They were sliced, and so maybe there's more access, whereas these have the skin, and maybe that's the concern. It's a great question. I'm not sure. We've never had a burned bean.
Yeah, we haven't.
But I would say this, just as a best practice, when in doubt, don't.
Okay, I'm gonna add the 8 ounces.
Laura, just really quick, because this is why we do these discussions. I love this feedback. So thank you, Lori, for bringing all this up. She said, with fresh cherries, I didn't have a ton of vanilla flavor, so I think they may have burned a little bit. That's really interesting. And, our recipe calls for waiting a full 12 months. I'm assuming you waited the full 12 months on your cherries and still didn't have as much vanilla taste as you would like. I'd be curious to know that, but even more so, I think it's a good best practice to go ahead and muddle them, get as much of that juice out as you can, because in Lori's case, that certainly seems to have occurred. And Lori, we know, has made a great many extracts.
Yes.
So when Lori Lanford sharing best practices, we all listen because she has made many, many extracts. So thank you so much, Lori, for sharing, and I'll look for your next response.
I also noticed that I didn't get too much of the vanilla flavor when I made it with just a few beans. And that's why I went to the whole ounce of beans and then waiting longer. I don't know what it is about the cherries, but it seemed like when I had more vanilla in it and waited longer, it worked then.
Yeah. So Lori said she waited 8 to 9 months. Maybe that's part of it. But even after, as you know, Lori, even after 8 to 9 months, you should have had, a strong vanilla taste coming through. So I suppose it's absolutely possible. Great dialogue. Thank you for bringing that up. So as a rule of thumb, based on Lori's experience, muddling to get all the moisture out as you're making them is probably a great best practice.
Yeah.
So thank you, Lori, very much.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna just.
You're muddling so.
Oops.
Uh-oh. I think you're good with what you pressed
I have
before.
one tiny little bit left there, but I'm gonna kind of keep an eye on this and then I'll come back to it.
Yep.
Let's take a look at this. I did close it good. I've done this before where it wasn't closed and then. Yeah, you can kind of see that I've smushed them up a bit. I don't know if you can see that. And maybe it'll be good just to shake it up and so you make sure that you're getting juice at the bottom there. I think it looks pretty good. It's already colorful.
Yeah.
Very, very purple already. Beautiful.
Love it. We love cherry extract. Okay, and then we've got our piece of tape.
Just put it on there. Oh gosh, we're running out of time.
What size jar did you use? Melanie asked.
This is a pint, which is 16 ounces.
And again, we always say go big when you're making, and so it's better to have more room than not enough room. And with the cherries, I mean, we were all the way to the top on both of these, which last time we weren't all the way. So maybe it's the size. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's always better to have a little bigger when you're making, and then, the size we'll recommend in the book and lots of times is the use size, because it's a lot easier to use out of smaller sizes.
Yes.
So love it. Okay. Love it. We've answered questions. Awesome. So
sorry, Paul.
Go
just
ahead.
Before we move on from cherries to the other fruit, for anyone who lives, I'm guessing, around here, Ladon recommends if you drive out on the I-10 towards Indio, towards Cherry Valley, you can get a load of good cherries.
That's probably where we went when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But I know we can cherries for days and days. And
And in Utah right now, all up and down the 15, State Street, there's a fruit stand selling cherries all over the place, especially up north as you get up to Clearfield, Layton, that area. Yeah. Cherry Hill, right?
Can't get enough cherries.
What's that?
Can't get enough cherries.
Yes.
Yeah. And also Jessica would like to know, if you have time, how to make the bourbon soaked cherries.
Go ahead, for sure.
Well, I just add, it's kind of like a liqueur a little bit. I add sugar to it and I add some bourbon and some cherries. So, I usually add about Gosh, I don't even think I've really measured exactly, but I'm guessing it is about a couple tablespoons of vanilla sugar I'm gonna use. And then 8 ounces of the cherries. And then the bourbon, I usually do about 2 cups in there. And then I kind of just play with it and I'll add or subtract, but I don't know. I know a lot of other people make bourbon soaked cherries, so maybe they have another recipe. I haven't come up with an exact measurement. It's one of those things where I do it by taste. But when I'll have to pay attention this next time.
And what do we use them for?
Oh, well, you can put them in all kinds of different desserts, and you use them for cocktails and, I mean, they're delicious. And I like to just pop one in my mouth every so often.
There you go.
Delicious.
Yeah, great question. That's fun. Okay. So we don't have a recipe on our site for that one, but maybe we need to
I know,
open
like,
up a different
it's
recipe
just
blog.
something I like to
For
mess
sure.
around with, but I'll have to pay attention.
There are a great many things when you have all of these different spirits in your home and you're making extracts, then there are a great many things that you can use the spirits for to make fun little additions to meals and cocktails and things like that.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy in here because I will start one thing, I'll make the cherry vanilla extract, and then I'm like, wait a minute, this would be a delicious liqueur. Oh, I'm gonna put this, and then I'm like, wait a minute, I could do this, and then I could put it in my rum top. And I mean, really, then before you know it's squirrel, and I don't know where I began. So I began with cherries somewhere.
It's the mad scientist now.
Feels like that sometimes.
It's fun. Love it. So I'm going to pivot back unless there's any other questions.
No, that's it. Thank you.
Awesome. So I didn't say this at the very beginning, but we've got a few extracts that we have to check up on, and this is actually going to play out really well. We've got to check up on our pineapple extract that was made with freeze-dried pineapples. So we'll be able to show you what happens now when you're doing a change out with freeze-dry. And then we've got to update, or we're going to finish our coffee bean cinnamon spice. So we're going to be doing taste tests of that. And then our strawberry extract that was also made with fresh strawberries, we're doing our final taste test with that. So we've got some taste tests that are coming up. We're going to get it all done here in the next 15 minutes. But so for the video, though, for starting now, let's get to our pineapple extract. So we made this with freeze-dried pineapple. And we're going to talk about what happens now. We talked about fresh fruit and some of the cautions and things you've got to be worried about. Well, there's cautions with freeze-dried. And the number one caution is those they soak things up like sponges, right? So we'll talk about that as we do the change out.
So this recipe started with 1 ounce of freeze-dried pineapples and 8 ounces of, we used Bacardi rum because we could not find at the time the Hawaiian rum that we really like. It just wasn't available. This is a fermentation weight that I often like to use when we're doing dried fruit because it will float to the top. And so if you just use these fermentation weights, a lot of times it will keep things down. But this is one of those things where you have to check in ever so often, because I did notice that the weight sunk down and then all the pineapple came back up. And it wasn't completely.
It went around the edges. They're slippery.
Edges. Yes. And so I kind of had to just play with this guy. I checked in on him ever so often, pushed it down, and then fixed the weight. And then after a while, they were all submerged, but it takes a while for them to really soak up the alcohol. And so, I mean, you'll go in here after you do it for the first time and it'll look like it's halfway empty. Mm-hmm. Give it time, it will soak up, I promise.
Yep. And then the challenge we'll have now in the change out is you've got all these like absorbed sponges.
Yes.
They're packed full of all the alcohol, and they're going to want to hold on to that alcohol.
And you're not gonna get 8 ounces out that you put 8 ounces in. You're gonna maybe have to top off, but that's the nice thing is you can always add some more fruit, top off if it absorbs a lot.
The nice thing about freeze dry, like we said earlier, is with freeze dried, all the moisture's been removed. And so you can add an indefinite number of freeze dried, top off until you get the taste that you're looking for. But this is, again, one of the challenges, and it makes this extract even more expensive. Because it's the con of freeze dry is the price, because it's going to soak up a lot of the alcohol. Then you're going to top it off, which then dilutes the extract a little. Then you've got to add a little more freeze dry, which costs a little more money. And these are the challenges with freeze dry. But as soon as you open that, the aroma like has filled the kitchen. Like
Pineapple upside down.
it's pineapple upside down cake. Like it's absolutely delicious.
That was my dad's favorite.
That was.
Hmm.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm just gonna pour it all in here.
Like a soup,
Yep.
like a beef stew concentration, right? Like
Yeah, and if you look inside, you've got quite a bit of it. It's kind of thick in there. There's a lot of flavor in there. I'm not going to rinse that out because all that is really good. I'm going to put the beans back inside the jar.
someone actually posted this in our group. It was either earlier this week or maybe it was late last week that their pineapple extract was sort of thick. I think the reason that it was that she had lots of small pieces of pineapple that just sort of blended in. Like she used a lot of the crumbs, and maybe that was in there. Because what you'll see as we're straining it and using we're using the correct side of the muddle.
Just to make you feel better.
So as we're going through and pushing through the strainer, you should have like a really clear. It's not very thick. Kind of a good extract. What's the word I'm thinking of? The viscosity. There, you went the other way. She's just giving me a hard time now.
Give more time, just fun. Okay, so I'm just kind of pushing this, trying to get all of the liquid I can out of the pineapple, and it really is like
Well, surprisingly, you're at about 5-6 ounces. Yeah, about
which
5
is about
ounces.
so you lost 3.
And you can see where it's all at. And if we wanted, we could leave this and just let it drip overnight. But a lot of the alcohol also evaporates.
No, and it will dry out.
And it will dry out.
I mean, you can let it sit here for a little bit longer, but you're never going to get the 8 ounces out again with the freeze dried.
Yeah.
It's going to soak in there.
And specifically with the freeze dried pineapple, because we've done some with freeze dried strawberries and we've done some with other freeze dried fruits where you actually do get pretty close to the 8 ounces out. But for whatever reason with pineapple, man, they're dry and they love to just absorb it all. But the longer that you work it and you press and you use the muddle.
Right now, I'm doing this, and when I put pressure on it, I have a steady stream still coming out of the pineapples. So,
right.
I mean, you really want to just take your time. There still is a steady stream coming out, and I'm just kind of just adding some pressure and leaving it on there like that. I've still got a nice steady stream of
we're up
juice.
To easily 6+ ounces now that she's still getting out. So here's the thing. We put the alcohol in, we put the lid on the bottle immediately. The alcohol hasn't disappeared. It's all in there and all the moisture is in there that we added. It's just how much patience do you have in kind of pushing it all out? And the more that you get out, again, the more concentrated it's going to be, the less that you have to top it off. The more of that concentrated pineapple flavor you're going to get.
And for the sake of time, because I'm sure you don't want to keep watching me do this, I'm going to be done here. But
yeah, you're really close now. I mean, you're pushing.
It's not a steady stream, but I'm getting a couple drops out now. But
you're over 6 ounces.
To see what it looks like now. It's getting dry. You can see that there isn't a lot of liquid left.
Oh, that was a good one there.
And in the pineapple, you can see that it's just drying out.
Love it. And then maybe let's take it off and show them the consistency of the extract. It's clear, it's nice. Is it transparent? It's pretty thick, which is quite nice, but there are lots of little tiny pineapple remnants that are left over.
And you would, if you don't want any of those little pineapple if you could just switch the camera over, maybe we can show you what it looks like. There are tiny, tiny little pieces of pineapple, plus you've got your vanilla specks in there. So you are going to have some sediments in this. If you don't like this, then put it through a coffee filter and you'll get rid of all the sediments and it'll be very clear.
It goes crystal clear. Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
So
crystal clear. It's the color of the pineapple.
we're
Yeah.
not gonna worry about that now because we're putting another ounce of pineapple in.
Yep.
So I'm curious here. I want to just measure how much I'm getting out of this. This is always
Always the moment.
so it's about 5.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at that.
So there's 3 ounces and I probably could get just a little bit more,
Mhm.
right? But I'm gonna add, this is what we need. This is what we mean by topping off. We're just gonna add in another 3 ounces here to make 8 ounces again. And then when we add in our pineapple, we'll be able to cover the pineapple, hopefully.
And it's really interesting, just again, talking about freeze dry, these have been sitting open for like an hour and they've already absorbed all the moisture in the air.
Yeah,
And so the pineapple is just like this absorption machine and it just is
Yes.
grabbing moisture and holding on to it
as
wherever
soon
it
as you
can.
open it, you can see that it starts to get a little bit bigger, that starts to stick together. I actually like it when they come small like this. Because it's just easier, you don't have to smush them so much.
More
right?
surface area.
And there's a lot of times when I'll get the bag and there'll be just powder at the bottom. Don't waste that. Weigh that. That's part of the vanilla. That's part of the pineapple.
It is.
So, sometimes that's even better because it takes up less surface area.
Yep.
Right? So don't throw away any powder that's in that bag. Weigh everything. You want to make sure you have an ounce.
Mhm.
And then once you have an ounce, just add it into your jar.
And then again, like she said, if you want to clean it all out, you can see all the particles in there. A coffee filter does the trick at the very end when you're finished.
Yeah, there would be no reason to do it now because you're going to have it all over again. And you would just be, having to do it again.
Exactly. There we go. And this is why we do it live on the camera. So everyone can see how it works. And the smell again is lovely.
I know. Do you want to pour that in, love?
Mhm.
One quick question. What is the name of the Hawaiian rum that you would have liked to have used ideally? Dana was asking.
It's Powie. I'm always mispronouncing it. The Powie rum. And then Ocean vodka. That's a vodka that
Yeah.
we've used that is actually made with sugarcane. You see this like with rain cane vodka and others. There's a lot of like differentiation that's happening in the spirit world right now, where vodka manufacturers are using sugar. And the distinction between vodka and rum is the temperature at which the distillation happens. So now Ocean vodka is actually made with Hawaiian sugar cane, which used to be exclusively, Hawaiian rum that would use Hawaiian sugar cane. So there's a lot of different applications that you can use. And the reason we were doing that is just to be all Hawaiian, right? Is there a huge difference in taste between a Hawaiian rum, like with Hawaiian sugarcane? There is, but is it going to overpower the pineapple? Not necessarily. You're going to be okay with whatever rum that you've got. It's just fun to go, like we have people that use the Hawaiian beans and like a Tito's vodka because they want it all made in the USA. And you can do that with a Hawaiian vodka or Hawaiian rum as well, but it's PUI. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it
Yeah.
right. I think that's how you spell it, is a rum that we've used. I think that's the rum. Off the top of my head, I'm trying to remember. And then the Ocean is the other one that we've used.
That was PAUI.
Maybe it's PAUI.
Howie.
I don't speak Hawaiian other than aloha and mahalo.
Yes.
Anyway, I'll brush up on it, but I believe that's what it's called, is PAUI, however that is pronounced,
Yeah.
is one that was given to us that we had used.
I just say Howie.
Yeah, Powie sounds good.
Anyways, okay, so let's take a look at this. Now that I've poured in all of the 8 ounces, you can see that it's still kind of crusty. A lot of it isn't, covered in the vodka, but when I push it down, it goes down really easy. It's so
It's like sitting
spongy.
on the surface.
It is, and it's so spongy. So I'm just gonna kind of play around. I'm pushing this down. I'll put the weight in, but it will over time come up over it. So this is just one of those that you'll go in and check to make sure that, you don't have pieces that are floating on top, because every so often I'll go in and there's just parts that aren't at all absorbed. So I just push it down. It just, for some reason, the freeze-dried fruit will just pop up.
Yeah. And this is, there's, like we say, there's pros and cons to everything. Another way to handle that is just bigger chunks, because when we use like freeze-dried strawberries or others that are like the bigger cuts, you don't have that problem because the pieces are a little bit bigger, but we like them small because you get more surface area contact.
Yeah.
And it just seems like it gets that flavor out even more when they're all broken up.
Mhm.
And so pros and cons, everything that is good has something to it that
Sure.
is a negative, right?
Yeah, so you can even see how it's sinking right now. Tonight it might not even be able, all the edges will be above the weight.
But let me even show, if I could, I'm going to try to show the side here, because here's what's interesting. It's just floating. You have all this liquid down here. And so that's the problem, is it all wants to go to the top around that weight because they're just not ready to sink yet. And so it's not like they're saturated. If you look at it just from the top, it seems like it's absorbed all the alcohol, but that's not what's happened. It's actually, you're fighting the buoyancy of the pineapple. Because you have all that alcohol right there that it just does not want to go down into.
I promise you,
It does
give
sink.
it time, it will absorb.
Yep.
You just have to kind of mess with it over time, keep pushing it down. And then, in a few days, it's going to be all absorbed and it's going to look like it did when we opened it up
There you go.
today.
Pineapple Paradise. So
Okay.
that's the last change out, and then we'll come back and do the final change out or
1 month.
in 1 month, right?
Mhm.
So we'll be visiting the Pineapple Paradise in the next live.
So
and-
this is one that finishes up in 2 months. We started this in June.
Mhm.
And so we're doing our second change out here in July. And we thought that after 2 change outs, it's delicious. So at 2 months, we're going to do a taste test and we'll see how good it is, or if we want it a little stronger, you can always add more fruit and top off with alcohol. It's up to you.
So it's PAU Powie Maui, I guess, or PA
That's it. That's
Pow
it.
Maui. That's the one.
Helped us
Thank
there.
you. That was Jessica,
I
Nancy. Thank you very much.
can't remember anything.
No. The older we get, the less we remember. Why is that? I know. You're not. I am. Okay, so we're at 5 o'clock right now. We're cognizant of the time. We do have 2 taste tests that we want to do quickly. If you want to hang on for another 10 minutes, we'll wrap up. And then we also, I don't want to hold people that have to leave, but we always give away a free $25 e-gift card for one of the attendees, just to say thanks for spending some time with us. So since it's 5 o'clock right now, I'm going to go ahead and announce that. Yeah, and then if anyone needs to leave, they can leave. But for those of you that can hang on, we've got these 2 taste tests. And then we've got a little bit of time, maybe 10, 15 minutes where we can chat afterwards as well.
Yeah.
Because we have that 5:30 appointment that I've got to be at in American Ford. Okay, so our winner today, thanks to all of you that have joined us. We appreciate it. We've had a good group here. So thank you. It's been fun. We see a lot of new names. So our winner today of the $25 e-gift card is Penny. She's still here. Good. Penny Grimmer. Penny, thank you for spending some time with us today. Email support@vanillapura.com and we'll make sure we get that $25 gift card sent off to you for anything that you want on vanillapura.com. So thank you. Thank you, Penny. Congratulations. And we hope we see you at the next live. Our next live is going to be August 20th. It's going to be a peach extravaganza.
Yes.
We are making all 3 of our peach extracts at one time, since 'tis the season.
'Tis the season.
'Tis the season. So we're going to make all 3 peach extracts in our next live on August 20th. And we'll post that on Facebook here in the next day or so you can see the event. And hopefully you can all come back and join us. That's going to be a fun one. That's going to be a busy one because we've got some change outs that we have to do and other things. So we might reserve like an hour and a half for that one, just so everybody's aware, and it'll take a little longer.
Yes.
Okay, so it's time to taste test.
Yes, we're going to start with our coffee cinnamon vanilla extract. We started this in April. So it's a 3-month extract, which is kind of nice. You know, we have all these other ones that we've been doing that are 12 months. I love trying these other ones that are done quicker. It makes me feel like I'm doing something and I don't have to wait as long for everything. So these shorter ones are really fun.
Yeah, coffee, cacao, fruits, they're all fast.
So last month we took out the coffee and the cinnamon and we just let the vanilla sit in here a little bit longer. I didn't really taste too much of the vanilla. Coffee, you know, can be so strong. And so I wanted to give it just a, you know, you give it a little bit, you know, another month of just the vanilla in there. And of course, I'm not going to take that vanilla out. I'm going to leave it in as long as I have the extract and it's, you know, I'm still using it. And it's submerged. I'm going to leave that vanilla in there so it just keeps extracting over time.
Definitely.
So
Always, that's like a forever rule on almost everything. If there's still enough extract to cover a vanilla bean, we'll have vanilla beans in almost every extract we're extracting. It's seldom where we're like, let's take the vanilla bean out, right?
Yeah, and then also there are some things on the bottom here, also some sediments from there's vanilla flecks, but also there's some things from the coffee. So again, if you're wanting it really clear and pure, put it through a coffee filter. Depending on what I'm using it for, I might do that or I might not. So it really is just up to you what, I mean, it is absolutely beautiful when it's pure and, you know.
It's lovely.
But if you
Yeah.
put your vanilla beans back in there, you're going to get the flecks. So you'll have to decide
Up to you.
what you want it to look like.
And it takes a minute in the coffee filter. Maybe in one of our lives, we'll do one at the very beginning and just let it sit in the coffee filter the whole time.
Yeah.
So by the time we get to the end of the live, you can see what it looks like. Because it can sometimes take a half hour, right? To
Yes.
get like everything through. So maybe let's pencil that in and maybe we do that in one of our lives where we show what the coffee filter looks like.
You know what a good one would be is our peach caramel, because it is so emulsified with the caramel, and then you put it in the filter to filter out all of the caramel portion of
Like
it. And
clarified
it's,
milk, it's that kind of thing.
yes, it is clear amber when you're done. You would never have thought there was caramel in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it looks beautiful and
Mhm.
the taste is amazing.
Yeah. Okay. So
We digress.
I did a couple drops of the coffee, cinnamon, vanilla, and I'm going to put about a tablespoon of
Want to show the
milk.
cam there? Yep. You can see how we do it. Simple enough. Couple of drops. Tablespoon of milk, roughly.
This is our favorite day when things are finished and we get to like try our extracts out.
We get to try our extract. So again, I like to nose, smell. Oh my gosh.
That caramel chocolate. I mean,
There is like
some chocolate in
no,
there,
but there's like a caramel
yes,
for sure that comes through.
vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
The cinnamon is in there.
The
Just
cinnamon.
It's
Mhm.
not overpowering.
No, it's coffee and vanilla. Coffee's first. I don't know. They made
There's
the
a lot
tie
of-
between the cinnamon and the vanilla, but there is caramel. Where did that come from? Oh,
If you like coffee, you gotta try it.
right. So for brownies, for cookies, for coffee
Oh,
cakes,
This would be so
Or-
good just in chocolate chip cookies to add just a little bit of that coffee.
just to free up
taste.
like that rich mocha,
Mm.
dark. Oh my gosh.
It would be overpowering. You wouldn't be like, oh, there's
Mm.
coffee in it. You would just get that extra, richness that coffee gives chocolate.
Sometimes I've noticed with like a coffee or like a mocha, there will be like a little bit of bitterness when you're first tasting it. Not at all with this one.
There was a month ago though.
Mm-hmm.
A month ago,
This is
the
just sweet
coffee.
and smooth and creamy. And where's the caramel coming from? Like that's
Coffee.
caramel,
Yeah,
right?
but you get some of that from certain coffee beans and you also get that
Right.
from the vanilla bean.
From the vanilla bean, but
Yeah.
wow, like the caramel really is pronounced in this one.
And a month ago, the coffee was quite overpowering,
Mhm.
maybe a little bit on the bitter side. And so waiting that month with just the vanilla in there, I think was, pivotal to have it be ready.
Just to soften it up.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's only going to get better because I'm leaving the vanilla in there. And so,
Yeah, so that's ready. That goes into the kitchen in the for use cabinet.
yes.
We are ready to roll. We finished one. Woohoo!
Well, and you know what I've started doing is when we go to somebody's house for dinner or whatever, I always bring, and for my hostess gift, I always bring, like an extract or something because I have so many of them. And so it just is something easy that you can do that's super unique to you.
We have dozens of, maybe more, of those little 2-ounce jars, just so we can grab an extract out of the cabinet and fill it in, and we can give just a little 2-ounce bottle, a little flip top, whatever it is, and give them out as gifts. They're just
Yeah.
great to keep because you never know which one, and then you can just pick the one you want to give, whatever's going on that night with what we're cooking or whatever. You can give the appropriate extract.
Yeah,
It's a fun gift.
it is fun.
Okay.
And it's very unique. Okay, so the last one is, this is our strawberry vanilla. And this also, we started this in May. And so this again is only one that takes a couple months, right? How easy
French
is that?
press.
I love this jar.
We're French pressing it.
Yes. the French
We're
press.
going at the French press again.
Yes, I hear you.
We're getting it. We are getting it.
No. Okay, so.
You
we're
could
just
use, by
gonna-
the way, the French press for the pineapple as well. Like we
You
set it
totally
aside because we knew we were going to use it for the fresh strawberries to do the last change out. But it's a way to just push all the moisture out, hold everything in, pour it out. That maybe is a little faster than muddling.
And we learned this from our members.
Our group members.
Yeah, from many of you.
Yes. Was it Justin Barrett? He was so nice because we were doing it upside down the first time. We did something, and
No, I
Justin
was-
Barrett was awesome.
Totally not with it that day.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just gonna pour it into here. Look at that color.
And exactly 8 ounces. Again, with the fresh, it just doesn't absorb it the way that the freeze dry does. And you're getting exactly 8 ounces that come out. So it is lovely in the smell.
Mmm,
Yeah. Okay.
makes me think of strawberry jam.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So
And that color is beautiful. It's a little bit darker than regular because the vanilla beans are in there.
The vanilla
So you're
beans are there?
getting a little bit of an amber strawberry color.
yep.
Because of the vanilla.
And you can totally pick up the vanilla. So again, this was, if you're new, then this is one we started a couple of months ago. We started with the 8 ounces of fresh, the 8 ounces of 190 proof Everclear. Then we changed out, added 4 fresh ounces to the original solution. And now we just took out those 4 ounces and we're done.
Yeah, what page was this in the book again?
That is page 101 in the book, and the coffee bean cinnamon spice is page 95. The pineapple's page 131 for those that are,
If you're following along.
yeah.
Okay, so really just a few drops. I'm gonna put into our cute little
These were
shot
given to us.
glasses that we had gifted to us.
We'll
from
hold it
sweet
here. Someone
friend.
gave this. I don't know, if you can switch to the extract cam. We love using these. Someone gave these to us, and thank you so much. You know
Thank
who you
so
are.
much.
So fun.
We love using them. So usually I do like, I don't know, like 3 little drops, and then, again, about a tablespoon. I don't measure it. I just do it by
We
sight.
pour with the heart. Okay. Taste test time. Strawberry, fresh strawberry, vanilla. Cheers.
Cheers.
Nose it.
You're so bossy.
Gotta nose it. Strawberry.
Mm.
It's like strawberry and cream when you put it with the milk.
This
Like,
would be
oh my
so good
gosh.
in just in your whipped cream, to add just a little bit of the strawberry flavor.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, summertime ice cream, sorbets.
Oh, yeah.
Oh wow. So again, fresh fruit, people, works really, really well to get a nice concentration of taste.
Yes.
It's gonna be more concentrated with freeze dry, but the reason that we do it with fresh fruit is it can be done and it tastes lovely.
And
like,
it's more
wow.
affordable.
And it's-
Beans are expensive. We've got to figure out how to
Mm.
make this hobby work.
Right. That's delicious. There we go.
I'm not done.
You're not done yet.
I better be done. We're over time.
We're over time. Well, what a great workshop this has been. We're 15 minutes over. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. It's my fault that we're 15 minutes over because I just talk and talk and talk. But we covered a lot of material. I mean, look, there's stuff everywhere. Like that is the sign of a good
know.
workshop,
It's,
right?
it's a big mess here, and I guess I need to step closer to Paul so I can step on his foot a little faster.
Exactly.
So
Totally doing it right now. That's the sign. So thank you. We love having you in our home. We're so glad that you can join us. Thanks to those of you that hung around a little bit later to go through the taste test. Our next workshop again is August 20th. We'll have an event posted. If you go over to Eventbrite, you'll see we even have our September workshop posted where we'll be doing raspberry and coconut cream in September. And so that's over on Eventbrite. You can see it there if you follow our page. And we hope that all of you will be able to join us. And we're making our way through every one of the recipes in our book, and we're getting pretty close. We've still got a ways to go, but we got a lot done today, didn't we?
We did.
Wow. So thank you. We love these workshops. They're fun for us. They're fun for us to just go back and create some of these extracts that we kind of got started with, right?
And we love when you have questions because someone else probably has the same question.
Yes.
Bring up things like Lori with the beans on the bottom. Like we never really had that problem, but you might run into it.
You might.
Or we might run into it. So it's good to like share what we've found out with each other. So I love these like smaller groups that we can just discuss.
Yeah, we're what, like 8 years into our extract making journey. And so for those of you that are just getting started, we're 8 years ahead of you. And so we've got a lot of trial and error, but there are those of you that have been doing this for 25 years and we're still trying to catch up. And so we aren't the end all be all by any means, but boy, we've made hundreds of extracts now. And we've got a lot of experience in a lot of these, and we're getting more and more every day. So because of these workshops.
I'm learning from tons of other experts in our group too.
Yeah, it's a fun group. If you're not a member, make sure you get over there and join because they
Definitely.
are the sweetest people we found 117,000 of the nicest people on the planet. They're all together talking about extract making 24/7. So thanks for joining us. We hope to see you next time. Until then, have a great rest of your July, start of August, rest of your summer, really. Kids will be back in school when we get back together again. So have a very happy rest of your summer. We'll see you next time. Happy extracting. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.